Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Commentary Podcast. My name is Tony Mikel. I am your co host. Thank you for joining me for a weekly film news episode. I'm going to be doing this episode solo. Our host, Pat Brennan, is on vacation. Hope he's having fun right now. I am really excited to talk about the new releases, start getting into some trailers, and really dig into the film news. This is my first solo episode, so I am a little nervous, but I think I have a good handle on stuff while our host is on vacation. It is a little daunting, but I think you guys are going to enjoy what I have in store for you today, especially with film news. I feel like the last couple episodes, the film news has been a little light, but starting to get into some good IP film news. And I know that's always fun for all of us who are eternally online. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming to hang out. And I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Give us a shout and let us know if you really like what we're doing. So, the first film that we're going to be talking about is going to be You, Me, and Tuscany over from Universal, directed by Kat Coiro. This film features Halle Bailey, Regé Jean Page, Marcos Calvani, Aziza Scott, Isabella Ferrari, Stephanie Cassini, and Lorenzo Delmore. Now, the teaser kind of got me with Janet Jackson's escapade. It was like the perfect track to play over the trailer with Halle Bailey, kind of running through Italy. It's just like a really sweet song that got me excited for whatever this film entails. It feels kind of like a mix of classic cinema with a modern twist on the rom-com genre. And I like that. It's like a movie that's celebrating Black love and finding yourself. And I feel like diverse films, they aren't as celebrated as say like the weekend horror like hit. And it's gonna have some good counter programming next week, so it's actually placed pretty well within the box office calendar for the year right before summer. And like I said, good counter programming. So we're going to talk about how basically this film is really important to support right now because in 2023, Black and Indigenous people of color roles fell from 29.2% to 23.1% in 2025. So those roles are getting smaller, but you have a film like this come out and it's kind of like proving to you like, hey, this still hits, this still performs, and these roles are still just as important. So it's important to congregate and show up for films like this. And just like Tuscany, this is literally Ariel from live action remake and Reggae from Bridgerton and Black Bag. I personally love Black Bag. I think that was a good one from Soderbergh. We'll talk about him a little bit later. This setup reminds me of Roman Holiday, and I feel like for a film in 2026 to do that, it's pretty cool. If you are looking for a podcast, I think it's Fandango that does it. But they do a good episode series where they talk to the talent with all the new releases. And I got to listen to Halle Bailey and Reggae talk about this film and kind of do some movie trivia questions. And Roman Holiday got brought up. So always like whenever that film gets brought up, and it's really cool to see this young Black talent really show up and put a film out in this year. So up next are limited releases. So you'll have to actually check your movie app to make sure that these are playing around you. It does feel like You, Me, and Tuscany is the only film being released this weekend. It's not. These are being shown in select theaters. So like I said, you'll just have to check your local theater to make sure these are being played around you. We have quite a few, so just bear with me. I have some thoughts about some, and others just kind of like they clear the hurdle of like, heck yeah, that's going to be good. So just stay tuned. Up first, we have Beast from Lionsgate, directed by Tyler Atkins. This film features Daniel McPherson, Bren Foster, Mojian Arya, Russell Crowe, Kelly Gale, Luke Hemsworth, Matt Nable, and Nathan Phillips. So, not a lot to say about this film, really. It looks shot really well, actually. It's giving me like an 80s vibe. Kind of feels like a Karate Kid for like the middle-aged crowd. It seems like Russell Crowe is really wanting to find his niche as far as like what kind of films he can make. It kind of reminds me of the Jason Statham thing where we've seen like the last like 4 or 5 films like be the exact same thing. No complaint there. I'm sure everyone is good. I want to check out some of them. It just seems like Russell Crowe is trying to like find his footing as far as like kind of like a category of film that he works on. And he actually worked on the screenplay for this, so that's pretty cool. Up next, we have a spin on the Hamlet play from Universal, directed by Anil Karia. This film features Riz Ahmed, Morfydd Clark, Avjit Dutt, Art Malik, Krish Misra, Rajiv Sharma, Timothy Spall, Joe Alwyn, and Shiba Kata. This is another take on some Shakespeare. It looks amazing. I was watching the trailer and it really looked like they were using the actual play for dialogue, and I thought that was really cool from a screenplay aspect. It is a modern take on Hamlet, and we all know the emotional beats of Hamlet, very reminiscent of Hamnet from last year. I am really excited for Riz Ahmed. This seems like it's going to be a cool one to check out. So our next one I'm actually really curious about. We are going to be talking about The Christophers from Neon, directed by the one and only Steven Soderbergh. This film features Michaela Cole, Ian McKellen, Jessica Gunning, James Corden, and Daniel Fern. I'm super curious about this one. Like I said, I love all the handheld in the trailer. Michaela Cole and Ian McKellen have some interesting chemistry. So from the trailer, it does seem like Michaela Cole is doctoring some iconic paintings that only Ian McKellen has, and there seems to be like some sort of underlying plot going on where they're gonna try to, I think, maybe like steal the paintings after she finishes them. But I feel like there's like a lot of like self-discovery that Michaela Cole's character does, probably under Ian McKellen. It's from Neon, so it's gonna hit. I fully have all the faith in Neon. We'll actually be talking a lot about Neon later on. Very excited for this one. Like I said, wide release. I have to check your local theater, see if it's playing. I definitely want to see if I can check this one out. The next film we're going to be discussing is Exit 8 from Toho, directed by Genki Kawamura. This film stars Kazunari Ninomiya, Yamato Kochi, Naru Asanuma. And yeah, I believe this is a video game adaptation, but it feels a lot more elevated than that. These video game adaptations are getting really, really, really polished and look amazing. I mean, this is obviously all on the same set. The story kind of, allows that. And I really just like the visuals with the yellows that kind of contrast next to like white tile subway. Those jump cuts with the with the naked, I think they were like naked rats. They were like to give a little horror to the trailer. I'm definitely interested in this. It's a Neon as well, but I think Toho might be like a international distributor. There's two Neons this weekend, and I'm really excited for that. They are entertaining us left and right, at home, at the theater, on the horizon as well with Cannes coming up. We're going to be talking about Cannes a little later on. But yeah, check out Exit 8 if you are a horror fan or a video game adaptation fan. So the next release we have is going to be from IFC. It is called Faces of Death, directed by Daniel Goldhaber. This film features Dacker Montgomery, Barbie Ferreira, Josie Tota, Aaron Holiday, Jermaine Fowler, and Charlie XCX. All right, Faces of Death, here we go. The reviews are out. Everybody is saying pretty much the same thing. It's a very, very smart and modern meta slasher. And I feel like in 2026, with everything we've gotten at the first half of the year and then last year, that is a very complimentary thing for your film to have. I want to talk about the talent, and I also want to talk about where this film stems from. Dacker Montgomery, you might recognize him from Stranger Things. He's done a couple other things as well. Really excited to see him here. I think they really popped off with the look of him in this film. It's kind of like that thing where hypersexualization of like serial killers or like a psychopath. Dacker Montgomery plays well here because he just looks completely psycho. And then you have Barbie Ferreira. Most people know her from Euphoria, but she has done some indie work. Barbie looks great here. She looks like she's going to do well in this role. I'm also, for me personally, I'm more excited to see, and the trailers kind of like tease that this character this killed, but I'm very excited for Josie Tota. She is wonderful, and it was just really cool to see her be featured in this film as well. It's great casting all around. It's very new and fresh. Also, Charlie XCX is in this, and I've heard that she's great as well. I'm curious if she has an American accent or her British accent, but I'm really excited to start seeing her have some more dialogue and some different roles this year. I'm just really excited to see the films that she's in for some reason. I'm rooting for her. So, just to run it back, the new releases for this weekend are You, Me, and Tuscany, Beast, Hamlet, The Christophers, Exit 8, and Faces of Death. Definitely go check one of these out. It sounds like an exciting weekend at the movie theaters. I'm really looking forward to see what everybody checks out. Just let us know if you liked any of these films from the weekend. So up next, we're going to talk about VOD releases. These are films that you can just go stream right now or pay for with the video on demand. Up first, we have The Bride. Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. You can pay for that on VOD. Baz Luhrmann's epic Elvis Presley in Concert is available on VOD. Jonah Hill's Outcome is available on Apple TV. And then we got Netflix's Thrash, that shark movie. I always do this thing with Pat where I do a serious pick and unserious pick. This is kind of a little bit of a light week whenever it comes to VOD releases, but I'd say that my serious pick is going to be Outcome. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jonah Hill's film is like, and also Keanu Reeves is the star in that. I really like the storyline of a canceled actor having to, kind of do this like a Christmas Carol story to figure out if he is actually a shitty person or not. And then, unserious pick is going to be Thrash, a good shark film. I haven't heard too many things about it, but what I've heard is that it's not that good, that it's just another shark movie, but whatever. I feel like I'd rather just watch like Deep Blue Sea or something. I don't know if anybody remembers that one. There's a stat cast in that with like LL Cool J. I think I'd rather just put that one on than, than Thrash. So up next, we're going to talk about the trailers. We only had a couple of trailers this week. I feel like these studios are probably saving the good ones for next week with CinemaCon, and we're going to talk a lot about CinemaCon here in a little bit and kind of dig into all the tea and all the potential film news for next week. Next week's going to be a pretty big week for film news, so stay locked in, and I hope me recording by myself doesn't scare you off. But up first, we are going to talk about The Devil Wears Prada 2 final trailer from 20th Century Studios, directed by David Frankel. This film features Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci. We've talked about this film a lot. We've done it on the Millennial Icon series. Yeah, I wanted to use the opportunity to talk about the marketing, some of the world tour, kind of like the runway experience. So up first with marketing, I think everything is on track. I feel like they are trying to access the Gen Z crowd for sure, while maintaining this relationship that they have established long ago with the original, with millennials. Everybody feels included, and I've always complained to Pat about that with some films that are like kind of like requels or like reboots with marketing. And this is exactly how you do marketing for a film in 2026. Everything prior I've had issue with. For example, like with Project Hail Mary, I felt like that was just playing to the film bro crowd. But with this right here, this is exactly how you want to be inclusive with everyone, no matter how old they are, male or female, and then also just where they're at with their movie going experience. But yeah, the marketing's great. Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep are on a world tour right now. It's pretty cool to see. They've been all over the world. They're not done yet. I think they're ending in LA, I'm pretty sure. To see some of their looks is so great. To see Meryl Streep with Anna Wintour is kind of iconic, and I love how Anna Wintour is kind of just like really lapping up the comedy and the satire from the original, this caricature of her in a way. This just feels like a fun experience, and I love that they're continuing the experience through merch and a actual magazine. There's this in-universe runway magazine that drops on April 13th, and it's going to be a digital copy and a physical copy for like collectors, which is really cool because usually with the merch and exclusivity of movie collectibles, that's unheard of to have something released digitally. So I think The Devil Wears Prada 2 is really, really playing on all quadrants. I've said this like since the beginning of this film being announced, that this is a whole 4-quadrant film, and it's going to be exciting for like the youngest person to go and exciting for the oldest person to go. This is just a good film to come out for this year. But I guess I just said all that and kind of proved to 20th Century Studios that the Devil Wears Prada 2 marketing campaign's working on me. Oh, also, random thing that I saw on my feed was that Adrian Grenier, Nate, Pat always likes to throw it. He's an entourage. He is in a promo for Starbucks. That was pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting to see him do any kind of marketing for the Devil Wears Prada 2, but they somehow included him in it as well. And that's what I was saying. Like, this marketing team knows exactly who they're trying to convince to buy a ticket. And I hope that more people do buy tickets. I feel like if you're apprehensive, it's all from kind of like the reboot fare that we've gotten in the last few years. But it seems like they know what they're doing. I also got to shout out Lady Gaga and Doechii for that fresh new track that they dropped this week. It's a slam dunk for a lot of people because, I mean, it's Gaga and it's like, okay, guys, I get it. I'm going to buy a ticket. Like, don't worry. And for our final trailer, we have The Invite from A24, directed by Olivia Wilde. Screenplay is by Will McCormack and Rashida Jones. This film stars Olivia Wilde, Edward Norton, Seth Rogen, and Penelope Cruz. Now, this was Pat's most anticipated film to come out of Sundance, and it's been really cool to see a film go from festival to distribution this way. Very intrigued by the foursome plotline. Feels very, very 2026. For me personally, though, I don't really think the plot just ends with the foursome pitch. There has to be something else going on. I guess I'm basically trying to guess what the real catch is here to this very sexy couple coming over for dinner that just so happens to be right next door and being just in such close proximity. I'm going to go ahead and guess that, I don't know why, but just the way that the trailer plays, for me, it seems like this couple is going to help Olivia Wilde's character do something to Seth Rogen's character. I don't know why, but I'm really excited to talk about this trailer in this movie and go see this movie with Pat. It's going to be great. But it looks shot really well too. It's just really exciting to see it get fast tracked so fast right into distribution. Good job, A24. So, to sum up our trailers, we only had The Devil Wears Prada 2 and The Invite this week. I feel like a lot of these studios are hanging on till the very end for CinemaCon. I mean, those presentations are literally next week, and it's going to be a big, lengthy film news episode next week, and we kind of got to get ready for it. But yeah, those were the trailers. Hope you enjoyed talking about them a little bit. So, thanks for joining me in talking about the new releases and the trailers. Now we are going to get into my favorite part of the episode, which is film news. Up first, we're going to be talking about the Writers Guild. The Writers Guild has come to a 4-year tentative deal with movie studios. New provisions include healthcare plan increases, streaming revenue increases, as well as further protections on AI training on screenwriter scripts. This is amazing. This is a huge deal for WGA. Securing benefits and being protected by the union you contribute to with your hard work is like the ultimate dream. The writers of our favorite films just got some solid security in order to not only create more, but just kind of breathe whenever it comes to stability with their job and their quality of life. This was great. This came out right at the beginning of the week. Way to go, WGA. Also, way to go for landing I think the last one was a 3-year deal, and they extended it to this 4-year deal. It's a big deal to have benefits and protections whenever it comes to your job, and I think as you get older you just realize these matter whenever it comes to finding a stable place in life. It was really cool news to see for the writers that we all all their films that we watch. So our next piece of film news is Dune Part 3 began ticket sales for 70mm IMAX screenings and sold out before I could finish the sentence. 8 months early is a big move from Warner Bros. And Dune Part 3. It's kind of basically digging their heels into the ground with that December date for IMAX screens and box office sales next to Doomsday. Remember, the Odyssey tickets went for sale a year early. That was crazy. And then before that, Oppenheimer got the IMAX, and then Barbie got the Dolby. But that was counter programming. So I just kind of want to point out a little bit of things whenever it comes to the later half of the year, kind of keep some things on our minds whenever we come to discussing the success of these films and how they'll fare and everything. Usually when you cannot secure tickets for a premium format showing, you'll go down a notch in your screen choice. For IMAX is Dolby. So you're going to have a lot of people go, oh dang, I can't see Dune Part 3 in IMAX. Let me go look for tickets on Dolby. Oh wait, it's Doomsday. These films are like already eating into each other, and I don't know what's gonna happen here. I don't know if next week's at CinemaCon that Disney completely undoes the countdown and moves up a week. But yeah, we'll just have to see. Basically, I just wanted to point out that Dune started ticket sales to like basically secure those premium screens, and it's a big move, very big move. So, Judd Apatow is directing a comedy, The Comeback King, starring Glenn Powell. This film is set to release February 5th, 2027. Now, Judd Apatow, I'm a big fan of that guy. A bunch of his films make me laugh. It always cracks me up whenever Pat says that his films run a little long. They kind of do. They are very atmospheric, like ambient. Whenever it comes to like comedy and stuff, you can just put those on like on a Saturday and just chill. Glenn Powell in this one is going to be a country star whose career starts to go downward, and I'm going to be really curious to see if they use any meta commentary with actual country stars. But yeah, I'm excited. This should be a slam dunk. I feel like country plays well in the US, and it's Glenn Powell. I feel like he has a peanut gallery. I feel like a lot of people like to pick on him and say that his journey to stardom isn't like what he anticipated it would be, but there's just like this unfair like comparison to like Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. He just hasn't worked with directors yet. That's like the simple answer to it, is he hasn't been allowed to work with those directors yet. I mean, last year with Running Man with Edgar Wright, like that was his foot in the door, and they'll see the action from that film. They'll decide whether they like him from there, and then they'll start putting him in those roles. But yeah, he's just getting started. I'm kind of over comparing actors to other actors. It's just, that's not fair. So our next piece of news is Marvel Studios' X-Men film is being written by Beef creator Lee Sung-jin and the Bear co-showrunner Joanna Callow. So I threw this on as soon as I saw it. We have Jake Schreier as a director in Thunderbolts, and the writers from Thunderbolts on this X-Men reboot. Yeah, I feel like that's cool. My tone in my voice and what I'm saying about this piece of news should be enough to show you like that I want to be excited for the MCU so bad. But the last year and a half have felt like the worst taste in my mouth whenever it comes to superhero films. Marvel has just kind of been like pooping the bed over and over again with their picks for writers and directors. I feel like I talk about this every single time whenever it comes to Marvel, but just bringing back the Rick and Morty writers and bringing back directors with poor performing entries in the IP, it's lousy. It's leaning too hard on the nostalgia from the returning directors and the actors from the previous Avengers film, but it doesn't feel fresh and new. I am really happy to report that I heard the filmmakers talk about this in their, I believe, Beef just premiered over the weekend. And they were on the red carpet talking about what they're going to be focusing on with the new film. I did get really excited whenever I believe it was director Jake Schreier, he was talking about how they want to do this properly. And he even brought up a note that I had in film news with what X-Men needs to be. So I basically think that this 2028 X-Men film, I picture this hot, fresh mutant soap opera with a ton of action sequences to make going to the movies to watch it feel worth it, not to just wait for it to come on Disney Plus. That coming directly from the filmmakers that are going to be working on this, that are actively writing this right now, that feels like they're going to be in the right direction now. There's still a long ways to go, depending on how they want this film to look, how they want to, shoot it, and exactly how much action they're going to be including in this. I just hope that Feige remembers to ask these filmmakers how many action scenes are in this new X-Men film. Because if it's just 3, they're not going to have a movie. It's just going to be Thunderbolts all over again. But I'm rooting for this director and these writers, and I guess we'll just see. So, to kind of lay up the X-Men reboot news, allegedly Peter Claffey and Odessa A'zion are being eyed for Marvel's X-Men reboot. I don't want to put a lot of stock into this because, I mean, if I'm being really honest, I kind of feel slimy adding it onto film news before confirming, but we can still talk about it just because we're talking about X-Men. I think fans are going to have something to say about any talent that gets cast for the reboot. It's just tough terrain every actor has to run over to keep working right now, and that's everywhere. That's not just MCU. And you never know, sometimes talent isn't in a position yet. They're probably just getting started and barely having a voice in their roles. They probably don't have the power to say no yet. But for me, I think the Peter Claffey choice is solid if it's true. I watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms and I really liked him. I also like I also like his social media presence and how sometimes conservatives will they try to claim Night of the Seven Kingdoms pretty much. They're like, "Oh, this is our show. This is our show." And it shows for both sides actually. But anyway, kind of like seeing how outspoken he is on social media, and I always crack up thinking about like a far right conservative person going to follow Peter Clappy and seeing how it doesn't really align with their beliefs. But he kind of reminds me of like a mini Pedro, and I kind of like that idea of maybe Peter Claffey as Beast. Now, Odessa as Rogue. Interesting. I am not knocking it. I'm not knocking it at all. I'm trying to picture it. It looks beautiful and it sounds great. Very fun choice. Most people are going to say that she is an ideal for Rogue, but she literally has the look and also the voice to pull out a good Rogue. And also the hair, her hair as well. A classic Rogue is this like very thick accent, like classic cheesecake energy from like the animated X-Men 90s run. But she says stuff like sugar and pudding. And I think if Odessa leaned all the way in, she could really pull something out of this and make an even bigger name for herself with really kind of shedding the embarrassment that I feel like a lot of young talent gets from, having to play such a classic, iconic character. Also, this film has to kind of meet her in the middle. If this news is true, by the way, this film has to meet her in the middle with providing opportunities to like fly and punch a lot of shit. So the action has to be there, and then also the look and the performance. So if these casting rumors are true, they have their work cut out for them. And I just hope that Marvel puts a good team behind this young talent that's going to be rebooting the Marvel franchise. In other news, the Academy announces dates for 2027 and 2028 Oscars. So for 2027, we have March 14th, and 2028, which will be the 100th Oscars, will be March 5th. It's kind of a little late in the year. I think that's a long award season, and it kind of gets stressful from both sides because once it's over, you're exhausted. And then prior, it's so stressful because we've like gone through probably like 3 award shows already. There's so much content that's produced out of those. Like, here's who I think is going to be the best actor winner for the Oscars over and over and over and over again. And I know that we're not just looking at the calendar for like streaming content or for just content in general. I just wish it was like at the first week of March. And the argument all the time is like, oh yeah, well, like Super Bowl and like Grammys. Like, I feel like if people like movies, they're gonna watch the Oscars. And I feel like people who like the Super Bowl are going to watch the Super Bowl, and people who are like music are going to watch the Grammys. We shouldn't have to prolong for numbers. And I know that all this stuff just depends on other awards calendars as well, but that March 14th date is a little late. So earlier this week, we got to see a little bit of a fight, a social media brawl online. James Gunn versus the trades. So Superman sequel tested Adria Arjona, Ava DiDomenici, Sydney Chandler, Grace Van Patten, and Ella Purnell for an undisclosed DC role, potentially Maxima for Superman, or maybe even Wonder Woman is the talk of the town. James Gunn fought with Variety and The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline via social media. He basically claimed that one of the reportings wasn't true. I believe it was THR and Variety doubled down and confirmed that the story was true. Probably speaking to some of the talent's reps just to make sure. But I've been really disappointed with seeing James Gunn fight with publications online. He started to rub me the wrong way whenever he was getting into a fight with a streamer that I follow. And it's really nice to see her get her day in the sun with that. Like, oh yeah, this guy does this to everybody. But I'm sure there's a lot of stress over at DC right now. I'm sure that James Gunn is really trying to keep as much information private as possible, but fighting with the trades and, these are the publications that promote your movie is not a good move. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a hit piece that comes out after this that says, should James Gunn be running DC? And, Allison sees all that stuff and she's like, what the hell's going on over here? All of this stuff is just, it's not a good look for the studio. And I feel like someone probably should just take James Gunn's phone from his hand. So, up next, we are going to be talking about the Cannes Film Festival lineup being revealed this week. Very exciting and just pleasant part of the year is we're starting to get into festival season. We hit Sundance pretty well earlier in the year, and it's going to be excited to cover Cannes just like everybody else. But we're going to talk about some neon films, and then I found a couple other ones that I definitely want to keep on my radar. But up first is Her Private Hell, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. Shot in Tokyo, follows a woman searching for her father while a strange mist takes over the city. And Refn himself says the film is laced with glitter, sex, and lots of violence. Now, that all sounds pretty fun. I'm mostly excited to check out Havana Rose Liu and Sophie Thatcher in this. Seen kind of some behind the scenes stuff over on Instagram, and it looks really fun. I'm excited to check out Her Private Hell. The next film we're going to be looking forward to is titled All of a Sudden, directed by Ryosuke Hamaguchi. This film revolves around a bond formed between two women based on the book When Life Suddenly Takes a Turn, 20 Letters Between a Philosopher with Terminal Cancer and a Medical Anthropologist. Definitely sounds interesting. Not a lot to say here. I definitely need to see a lot more before I kind of start digging into it. But the storyline sounds good. It's a real book. These are real letters. I'm looking forward to it. The next film we're going to be looking forward to is titled Fjord, directed by Christian Mungio. Renata Reinsve and Sebastian Stan star in a family drama set in Norway. A transplant family from Romania moves to Norway. What I've seen is Renata Reinsve's character is from Norway and she's moving her family there, and then like the town, they have like a lot to say about like how her and her husband raise their kids or something like that. I'm really looking forward to checking that out with Renata Reinsve and Sebastian Stan. The next film is titled Sheep in the Box, directed by Hirozaku Koreeda. Written directed by Koreeda, a couple takes in a child humanoid into their home to raise after the passing of their son. Interesting story. I definitely think this one is going to be very emotional and might kind of like pique a conversation about technology. It's going to be interesting for sure. Next film we're going to be looking forward to is titled The Unknown by Arthur Harari. Anatomy of a Fall co-writer Arthur Harari directs Leah Seydoux in a self-described realistic urban chronicle, fantasy film, investigation, melodrama, and daydream. And the last film that we're going to be looking forward to, I threw on at the very tail end of the week. It was just something that caught my eye. It's called The Man I Love, and it's from the director of Passages and Peter Hujarste. The Man I Love is a musical fantasy film about the AIDS epidemic, starring Rami Malek, Rebecca Hall, Eben Moss-Bachrach, and Luther Ford. Now, the Cannes Film Festival sounds like an absolute rager. It would be a total dream to go to that one day. Neon sounds like they're taking it again this year. I mean, we have not seen any of these films. These films aren't distributed yet to us, but it's going to be a really exciting time to hear what takes the Palme d'Or and kind of get excited for these to be released near us later at the end of the year. And our final piece of news, which I am most excited for, is going to be CinemaCon's 2026 most anticipated from studio presentations. So, CinemaCon is this week-long convention held in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is only for movie theater owners. So, this is basically a way for studios to present the films that they want the owners to release in their theaters all across the world. It's very exciting. It's getting bigger as the years progress. It's getting a lot bigger. It used to be very small. This is just a way for us to anticipate what's going to be coming out on the later end of this year. So I don't want to reduce expectations from what could potentially be coming out of these presentations, but usually it's only within the box office calendar of this year are the films that are talked about and the trailers that potentially could get released. So we'll go studio by studio and I'll let you know what films that could potentially be talked about that are releasing within this year that could maybe have like a trailer, or the cast comes out on stage, or a poster. Something as very simple as a poster can be a lot for moviegoers, and I'm really excited for it. So everything kicks off on Monday. There's a few like welcome things on Sunday, but everything's going to be starting next week on Monday. And the first presentation that we have is going to be from Sony Pictures. First film that we're going to be talking about is Evil Dead Burn. Potentially a trailer, maybe not. They're definitely going to hit Spider-Man Brand New Day. Maybe we see a poster for Resident Evil, or a 30-second teaser. And then finally, one that I'm really looking forward to from the studio is going to be The Social Reckoning. I don't know if anybody remembers, it has Mikey Madison in it. And David Fincher is not returning. I can't remember the director it is off the top of my head, but I'm really excited for The Social Reckoning. I think a lot has happened with Facebook and Meta, especially within this year. Just recently, they lost a trial in LA that basically confirmed that there's tactics being used for social media to be addictive to children. And I'm really looking forward to The Social Reckoning. I think it's going to be a hit, just like The Social Network. Fingers crossed for Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to return. So, the next presentation is going to be from Warner Bros. Some potential films that could be coming out of this presentation could be Supergirl, The End of Oak Street, Digger, Clayface, The Great Beyond, and Dune Part 3. So let's talk about Supergirl first. I don't feel like they have a lot left in the barrel whenever it comes to, featuring it, talking about it. Maybe they bring out the cast. The End of Oak Street has been done for a couple years already, so I think it's just finally getting a release. I'm really excited to see the dinosaurs in that and kind of get a better feel, better grasp on what's going on. Digger recently just did this like a Coachella drop where they just had a big shovel out in the desert. Some good promo for a younger crowd. Digger is a comedy, and I'm really excited to see Tom Cruise in that one. You got Clayface coming out on 9/11. I thought that was an interesting release window for it. We'll see with Clayface. It's a DC film, and I think it's supposed to be a horror. Yeah, it's a horror film. Yeah, we'll just check it out. From Bad Robot Studios is The Great Beyond. Really intrigued to see what that's about. And then Dune Part 3, of course. So I think that there's going to be a big part of the presentation that's Dune Part 3. Maybe a little bit of a more of a tease into Digger. Maybe some stills or some promotional material. Maybe a teaser for Clayface. That's about it. This is Warner Bros. Right here. So we'll check them out. So there is a screening at CinemaCon, which is really exciting. This means that the studio is very confident in the film. They want to start getting the word of mouth out. It's going to be DreamWorks' animation feature, Forgotten Island, based in Filipino culture and mythical creatures. And I'm really excited about that one because it's a tale about best friends, and I love me some good animated. Next presentation we're going to be talking about is Universal Pictures and Focus Features. Now, I am locked in all the way for this one. We got Disclosure Day, Minions and Monsters, The Odyssey, and Fokker-in-Law. I mean, just looking at that, you got your sci-fi / horror or action. You got your children's animated comedy. You have your big epic. And then ending the year with a comedy. I think their box office marketing and just planning team is working full force. Might see some more promotional material for Disclosure Day. Minions and Monsters, maybe a teaser. And The Odyssey, they'll focus on a lot. They'll probably want to talk about how that is going to be the biggest part of the year. Maybe the second biggest part of the year compared to Doomsday and Doom duking it out in December. And then Fokker-in-Law. I think it'd be really cool to see Ariana Grande and Ben Stiller come out on the stage and be like, hey, watch our movie. The next studio presentation is going to be from Amazon MGM. They have a few. It was hard to find films that could potentially be released in theaters, but I know that for sure The Sheep Detectives and Masters of the Universe will be released in theaters. I have been a Sheep Detectives fan since that first trailer. I don't know why it works on me, but it is so funny and cute, and I love it. And I'm really excited to see if they unveil some more stuff for The Sheep Detectives. The Paramount presentation, whenever it comes to Paramount right now, I'm really intrigued and I'm wanting to know like where it's all going. But I mean, definitely could see something for Scary Movie 6 and also Street Fighter. I definitely think that there might be a nice solid trailer from one of those two. We'll just wait and see. I know that the air is going to be thick with the merger happening any day now, and There's a lot of details to iron out, but this one will kind of just be like a little, okay. And then finally, what are we missing here? Who would wait until Friday evening to do a presentation at CinemaCon? I don't know. Could it be Disney? Disney is the final presenter at CinemaCon 2026. So Disney, apparently, and this is just some scoop that I got from a very reliable source. Apparently, Jon Favreau is having a breakfast on one of the days at CinemaCon, and I think there might be an announcement at this said breakfast, and maybe like an attached director, who knows. But I believe that Favreau is hosting a Star Wars breakfast, and so there you might have your Mandalorian and Grogu moment, and then maybe a Star Wars announcement. Who knows? We'll see. We will see. The other two films that I definitely think we're going to see something for are going to be for Toy Story 5, which has rolled out its marketing already overseas with like Starbucks, and then there's like some toys that have started rolling out for sale as well. Moana, the live action Moana, might see a trailer for that, or a longer trailer, or maybe some promotional material for that. But I feel like the big thing that we're all like kind of anticipating here is going to be Doomsday. I just hope CinemaCon 2026 doesn't get the RDJ treatment where he comes out, he's like, look at me, I'm RDJ and I'm Doctor Doom, and then everybody just like is like, yay, what is this film gonna look like? Where is this film gonna release? What is gonna happen with this film? I feel like there's just like this big question mark on Doomsday. I'm looking forward to see if there's gonna be a trailer. It's already April, and this film comes out in December, and all we've seen, I mean, even the directors, the Russo bros, said like the teasers that came out in December, those weren't really trailers, those were stories in this universe. There's just like a lot of stuff going on that I'm not really thrilled about, but yeah, okay, we'll see. Sounds like Pat and I are going to be very, very busy next week. So now we'll do a little bit of trivia. Last week, our host Pat Brennan asked last week's trivia question, which was Steven Spielberg has won 2 Oscars for directing. What are the films he won for? If you actually listened a little later in that episode, he almost said he almost said one of the films, and from there I was like, oh, I already knew it. It was too good. But the hint that he gave was both came out in the 90s. And the answer is Schindler's List, 1993, and Saving Private Ryan, 1998. And for this week's trivia question, what is the name of the actor that starred in both the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Back to the Future Part 2? No hint there. I like doing trivia for like our live listeners because it asks you to do something like with your brain like in the moment. And I like that like later end of the episode does that to kind of keep you in like the film energy kind of thing. Up next, we have film and movie recommendations. And usually, Pat and I give our recommendations, but this week it is just going to be me. So I would love to recommend some score for you guys, and maybe a movie that you haven't watched in forever. So for film score recs, I was thinking about how this weekend I really wanted to like just go to a park for like a walk and just listen to some movie score. And I thought the perfect score to do that to was Define Dancing by Thomas Newman from the movie WALL-E back in 2008. I love that WALL-E has like a lot of culture to it, just being a Criterion. He's also being featured right now at the Academy Museum in LA. So go hang out with WALL-E if you live in LA. That's my film score rec for the week. And then my movie recommendation is going to be Ron Clements and John Musker's Hercules animated feature from 1997. I am so excited to throw this on this weekend. It's like in the Disney Renaissance era, great soundtrack. I mean, I still listen to this soundtrack years later, and this was just like a great time to be a Disney fan. Like there was no misses, and really just like the studio felt unstoppable in this moment because it was starting to get real meta. And you'll see that whenever you go check out Hercules. There's a lot of really funny jokes. The music's good. The animation's beautiful. The pacing is like spot on. There's really no notes really whenever it comes to the Disney Renaissance era films. And I just thought it'd be a little silly to throw on a Hercules as my recommendation for the week. But yeah, guys, so that's film news. Just wanted to say thank you to the listeners for joining me for a solo weekly recap episode. It's a lot of fun doing this for you guys. I love giving you the film news and kind of telling you a couple things I think about it. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to our host, Pat Brennan, coming back from vacation next week so that we can do this together. Next week's going to be a big week, so just stay tuned. And we will see you next time on the Commentary Podcast.
This podcast is hosted and edited by Pat Brennan. That's me, with intro and closing music by Patrick Baxter.